14 Sierra Whiskey 007.
Bonjour, hello, and welcome to MaxMountainWorld. Welcome to the Radio Shack. People call these things vlogs or vlogs or something. It's just a blah blah blah. That's the French way of saying it. Here, a point of controversy, stuff that I used to discuss with radio friends in the 80s and 90s and stuff. You have an antenna and you're tuned 1-to-1. In other words, what you're sending up that antenna is 100% out. You don't have something mismatched in your impedance or your actual antenna length. It's exactly perfect for whatever frequency you're playing on, or you're doing this with, or whatever you're doing. We all play radio, that's what it's about. But if you're a little bit off, your impedance is off, and people, friends, well attuned amateurs used to claim that to be 4% off was your perfect. Because if you did that on the minus side, if your impedance was lower, you had more power going out. Is that true? I just want to expand on this. I'm not an expert. I've played with antennas, I've played with combining antennas. I think the height of my antenna career was in the centre of Edinburgh. I had three element beams co-phased on a rotator up on top of my place, and I lived on the second floor of a 4-storey tenement. I did everything. I made up a co-phase box that brought them into unison, and I got fantastic results through this. At one point shoving out 600 watts. But aside from all that, I tuned it and I got this thing down to 1.4, and I was happy with that. And then I'd mention this to friends, and I'd say all this stuff, and they'd say, well, that's the ideal tuning. The ideal tuning isn't 1-to-1. The ideal tuning is down. Where your impedance goes, it's 96 or 104. You know, that's, I don't know, as I say, I'm not an expert, and this is just things that kind of used to culminate in the DXing clubs and the radio clubs and all the rest of it, and people that just used to give me feedback and all this stuff. I mean, I used to get a 9pi5 report from someone on a silver rod 90 miles away. It worked. But the thing is it true? I don't know. Many people have many theories, and there's all sorts of stuff going on these days that wasn't happening in the 80s and 90s. We've kind of moved on. Technology's moved on in the radio world and all the rest of it. And general technology amongst the general populace and the general radio community has followed suit. So my question is, back to a question from the 80s and a little bit of the 90s, is an SWR of 1.4 possibly better than an SWR of 1-to-1? Let me just rephrase that. Of 1 to 1.4, as in the intro there, I'm at about 1.2 here, so I'm kind of midway. The easy option. But no, seriously, I did a 0.5 kilowatt on 27.5 megs, and that's my SWR. The SWR meter, the cross needle job, is actually the last thing before the antenna, so that's how I've monitored that. The radio can monitor the SWR at the radio, and there's only a switch between it and of course the big boy. But say nothing. Anyway, there's a question. Make comments below. Contact me through my Facebook and all the rest of it. Let me know your opinions. Let me know some factual stuff on this. People who know better. Maybe this is something that was a question mark in the 80s and 90s, and now it's been solved. Someone's found a solution. Some genius, mathematical antenna, whatever. You know, just... yeah, give me some feedback on this. I'm very curious. It's maybe a bit of an old-timer radio thing or whatever, but maybe the new guys coming up, the guys that are doing antennas, you know who you are. No one specific, really. But what's your take on this one? Anyway, I'll round off at that. I'll leave it at that. This is something that I've just thought of doing off the spur of the moment, and please give me feedback on it. Tell me what you think. Really, I mean, an SWR of 1.4 to 1 really isn't a bad thing. It's a 96% thing, and it's not really followed into the sort of parabolic mathematical equation quite yet. So at that point, does the lower impedance of a potential 4% off mean that you're putting out more power? Because that's what it looks like on my needle here. Tell me. Okay, thanks for watching. Give me some feedback. All the feedback is always appreciated in all levels, whether it's sharing, whether it's making comments, clicking likes, dislikes, all the rest of it. Dislikes count too, by the way. And that's it. So thanks very much for watching, and until the next video, ciao. Remember, think safe, be safe. And the linear on.